Hey everybody, welcome to the I Am Podcast YouTube channel.
Make sure to tap the bell, subscribe, and comment down below.
Well, hello everybody.
Welcome back.
We are here with another episode of the I Am Podcast. Jara and I are joined by a visitor who is in Hawaii right now, so we're a little jealous. If you would like to introduce yourself, Miss Guest, please take the floor.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm Kirsten Karchmer, and I was one of the first board-certified reproductive acupuncturists in North America. And in my clinics, I had the privilege and honor to work with over 10,000 infertile couples.
Wow.
We worked integratively with fertility doctors. In fact, we had an IVF center in our big center in Austin, so fully integrated experience. And then in 2016, I read a study that less than 3% of couples could afford fertility treatments. And when I read that study, I cried. I actually felt so ashamed because we had a very fancy, high-touch experience that we were providing for our patients, and we took great care of them, and I'm proud of that. But when I saw, it's not just some women, it's not even half of the women, it was most of the women. And I was like, I'm a big part of that problem. And so I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to solve that problem. And that got me to building Conceivable and basically trying to figure out how to build a digital twin of myself so that I could help get access to power and health and better fertility for all people across the planet.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
So, because I'm nosy and I am curious, now where you are today, what does your day-to-day look like? How are you helping women? What does a normal day for you look like when you're working?
First of all, I love that you're nosy because it's too boring otherwise, like small talk.
Yeah.
So what my day typically looks like is I get up in the morning and do some self-care meditation. I don't miss a day of breath work because I found that to be one of the best workouts you can do for every single part of your health. And then, jump into emails and then start meeting with my team. My team is all over the world, so mostly everything's by Zoom. And in Hawaii, it's been really interesting because some of my team is in the US and some of them are in Ukraine and other parts of the world. And so it's like I've been having 5 a.m. meetings and 10 p.m. meetings, which is a long day, but plenty of time to go to the beach during the day while I'm here. And then, because my company, we have a hardware wearable, we have the operating system for women's health that we're building, but we also have personalized supplements. So we basically have 3 companies inside of the umbrella of one company. And so some days I'm working on the hardware technology with those guys, some days continuing to build out the experience for women in the app. And because it's me, right? So I'm the only person who can do that. And the same with the supplements, it's interesting because, supplements can be really valuable for fertility, but not all supplements. And there are no supplements for fertility. But there are some supplements that can really optimize some of those subclinical factors. And so because we're trying to make everything affordable, we had really high quality supplements in our store before. And then it was just if they took what we wanted them to take, it'd be like $300 or $400 or $500, even with us taking a small margin. And finally, just by luck, came across a different manufacturer who has a huge reach. We were able to get the prices 50% less, highest quality, for about 50% less than what people would pay on Amazon, which really fulfills my mission of making everything affordable. People were so freaked out. They're like, I think this is a scam. It's too good of a deal. There's no way it's that cheap. And I was like, I don't want to raise the prices, but I have to help you to feel confident to, engage with this. So that's really what my days look like is, problem solving, what I'm most interested, we proved that our technology works. We increased the likelihood of people getting pregnant by 260% with no human interaction, no labs, no surgeries in 4 months. But delivering that through a piece of technology and making it delightful and easy and sticky, right? So it's so valuable to them that they keep coming back. That's the hard part, and that's what I spend a lot of my day on. Super long answer. Sorry about that.
I know,
that's perfect. That. Yeah.
So do you really do any hands-on patient care anymore, or is this your baby and your focus now?
So I actually surrendered my license in Texas because in Texas, you have to be seeing patients at least 20 hours a week to maintain your medical license. And I wasn't. And even though I argued, I was like, I just built an AI acupuncturist. Like what I did is way harder than seeing patients, but they're like, sorry. And, I don't ever plan to either because in the clinical trial that we did, we compared nothing, 4 months of acupuncture with me twice a week. And theoretically, I'm pretty good at what I do. And 4 months of no human interaction. And when the data scientists came in after they were done doing the regression analysis, I was like, he looked kind of sheepish. And I was like, oh man, it didn't work. And he's, oh no, it worked. And I said, oh, fantastic. And we call Kai, my AI, the one that's of me is Kai, Kirsten AI. And I was like, well, did she even get close to me? And the goal was 50%. If she's 50% as good as me, we should do it. It's worth it. It'll help people. And he says, no, she didn't get close to you. And he said, but you got close to her.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
I have kind of a big ego. And I was like, no, man, it beat me. And he said, yeah, by 6%. Because I was like, no human interaction, no needles, right? All user directed, like early version of it, even without like very robust AI in it. And what I realized is that, and I think this is really important for all of your listeners, is that, if you have a naturopath, if you go to acupuncture, if you get massage, you do any of those things, abdominal, all of those things are great therapies. But if that's kind of what you're putting all your eggs in the basket for, what I saw, and again, 10,000 women, was that women came and got their treatments. And then I might say, okay, you don't have very much blood. I'm concerned about your lining. Let's really try to kick up the iron-rich foods. They may or may not know what that is. And I'd be like, like beef, greens, I'd list off a few. I might write it on a piece of paper, right? And maybe during the week she would do that. Whereas in the app, I'm a quintuple Virgo, so I like control. We plan everything. She doesn't have to do it, but we plan everything, exactly what to eat for every single meal, exactly what supplements at what dose at what time during the month, like every single thing, how to exercise, how to sleep more, how much to sleep, all these things. But then we ask her to track it. So even with food, it's okay if she's not following her menu plans, but if she's not, there's a camera function. You can just take a picture of what you're eating. So that way the AI can be like the AI says, these are the 5 problems we need to work to optimize your fertility. Here's how we're going to do it. Did you do it? She tracks whether she does it. And then the data analyst can say, okay, we're still not making progress on your basal body temperatures or on your energy or on your blood volume. So we'll say like, you're still really tired. Your energy is still a 5 out of 10. This is really correlated with infertility, fatigue. Let's look at everything else. Oh, I see you're still only getting like 6 hours of sleep. We cannot fix the fatigue without getting you to sleep more. That's the underlying issue. People are like, what are the underlying issues? And I was like, the underlying issue is the underlying cause of each of the things. Right? And so it's like, so let's talk about your sleep. Can you not fall asleep? Can you not stay asleep? And then she might say, oh, I can't fall asleep. Okay. What could be, the AI is like, well, what could be some of the reasons why people can't fall asleep? Well, first one is caffeine. So she asks, do you drink caffeine? Actually, I do. How many cups? 4 cups. Oh, okay. Now we're getting somewhere. When do you have those coffees? Oh, I have 2 when I wake up and 2 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The treatment for her fatigue, for her fertility problem, is actually the coffee. But it's not because coffee is inherently bad for fertility. I think the data show you can have 8 cups of coffee a day without increasing your miscarriage risk. But it's that the coffee is making you not sleep, which making you fatigued, which is making your temperatures too low after ovulation, which is making your luteal phase short, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's the kind of work that's the kind of care that I believe women deserve. Like crackerjack, right? The most badass care that you can possibly get, in every single level, because it's actually with the technology, like for me to do that is very labor intensive. But for the way that we design the technology, it can give so much more value than I can.
Right. Well, it keeps them, like if they're having to track everything themselves, would keep everyone more accountable too, right? Which is really
yes. Mm-hmm. And what's more important is that when people came to me for acupuncture, I can't speak for all clinicians, they would often say like that they basically make me the hero. They'd be like, oh my God, Kirsten knocked me up. Oh, I got knocked up by, Kirsten. And I mean, that's funny and cute and everything, but I never liked that because I want them to be the hero.
Right.
And so with the app, they have to do the work. It's not hard. We did a lot of work to make it really very micro changes. But then as she's learning and making these changes and tracking and learning and changing and modifying, and her body and her mind and her heart start to change, she is transformed by her own hand. And that is really inspiring to me, that she gets all of the power, because unfortunately, we just don't have the same access to power that men do. And I think part of it is our health, because we don't understand our bodies. We don't know how to optimize, and we don't understand our periods. We just have been told that pretty much anything that happens around your period is normal, which is 100% not true. And so, I just read a study a few years ago that like 82% of women have life-interrupting menstrual pain and PMS. Life-interrupting, not that they have it. And, for me, getting rid of PMS and cramping is so easy. Like, that's monkey work in Chinese medicine. It's very, very easy. And you have to fix those things to optimize fertility. So I was like, wow, what would happen in society if women didn't have hormonal problems anymore? Like, if we could unleash them, completely send them into society, completely unencumbered and empowered about their bodies and their health.
And at this point, is the technology applicable for all stages of life? Like, girls who are just figuring out their period, ladies who are starting to go into menopause. Like, does it have that capability at this point?
It does not. You could definitely, like, say you have, so anything that a woman is dealing with her period has to get fixed to optimize for fertility. So right now we're just getting the fertility piece perfect, and we're optimizing that experience, right? We still need to make it more sticky. Sometimes women are coming into that and they actually don't know what to do. They're like, okay, I got my score, and we just need to do better education. That's not their fault, that's our fault. And so, but if you have PCOS and you start using the app, your PCOS is going to get exponentially better, because the data is abundantly clear that a personalized approach, diet, lifestyle, behavioral health, mindset, and stress management are the single best way to treat PCOS. And so you'll just have to put up with like the context of getting pregnant, fertility, and that kind of stuff.
That's really interesting. What is that? Oh, go ahead.
Is that something that you're working on, though, to have it be from like, when your daughter gets her period, you download the app on her phone and she has it for the rest of her life?
Yes. So that is where we're going around it. We need a little more funding. Right. So a lot more. So the couple of things we're going to do with some more funding is we'll extend across that. It doesn't have to be individual experiences, right, but the app needs to have the context, and actually not when she gets her period. At age 7 is when we're going to recommend to download the app.
Really?
Because girls are getting their periods as early as 9 now.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know which of my TikToks you were on. I have 2, one for fertility and one for periods.
I was definitely watching the period one, yeah.
Yeah, and so during the pandemic, I was getting so many DMs from girls asking so many questions, like, where do you put a tampon?
Oh.
Like, I got my period, what do I do? Who do I tell? I'm too ashamed to talk to my mom. What do you do if you get your period at school? And and so I started doing a live, and I would have like 5,000 girls a day on that show.
Wow.
And I would be like, okay, it's been 2 hours, you guys. I'm gonna bounce. Like, I'll see you tomorrow. They're like, no, we have more questions. Don't go. And I realized, and so their 2 biggest questions was, when will my first period come? Right. And how do I make it come faster?
What?
And I'm an Adia person. I think it's because it's sort of like womanly,
right?
Like I don't know. They were very interested in that. And so I was like, oh, this is how I can kind of encourage healthy behavior. I was like, well, your period, this is what I wish girls knew before they got their period, right? Your period is a reflection of your health. Your period is telling you how much it likes. Your body likes how much you're taking care of it, how you feed it, how you hydrate it, how you cope with stress, how you rest, how you engage, how you get support. And so your body will reflect that. And so if you want to get ready for your first period, start tracking those things. So I built a little tool for them to predict their first period. And then from there in the app, what they'll do is then we'll start educating them with because in Texas where I live, sex ed and period ed is abstinence. Abstinence. Don't do the thing you want to do more than anything, and we're just going to keep it in a black box, basically. And again, women cannot be uplifted and empowered in society by having no access to information or spurious information, right, from the internet or whatever. And we just want to control that and give them really great body positive education, and then start training them to track how many hours of sleep do you get each night and how do you feel the next day, and use the AI to basically advise and coach her about those things. You know, what you're eating, whatever, blah, 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 your weight, all of those things, not for weight loss, because I don't think that's safe or appropriate in children, but definitely getting them excited about nourishing their bodies in different ways. Then if we do that right, and even some sex ed, because again, they're not getting it. And I would rather, go ahead.
That's crazy to me that, like, as a parent, if you know that they're not getting that at school, why are we not having those conversations with our children? Yeah. Right? Like, it breaks my heart. Like, when I was in school, I got my period very late, but there was a girl in my class, we were in like grade 5 probably, and she got her period and came to school and told everybody, and we were all like, oh my God, like, you're not supposed to tell anybody. But
right.
she was excited. And then one of my friends got her period at 14, and she had to ask my mom because her mom didn't want to have the conversation with her. And I thought, like, why not? Like, for my mom and like your mom, it was always like a conversation that we had, and it was just like normal and part of life. And for so many, it's not. It's so sad.
It really is. It's just, I mean, I wish I had recordings of all of those lives, because we should just play them nonstop and let people hear the fear and the concerns and the anxiety that girls have. I mean, they would say, I just got my period today, Kirsten. I just got my period. Like, what do I do? I'm like, go tell your mama. She's going to be so excited. She's like, I can't do it. I'm too scared. I'm too ashamed. 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, you know, and, I mean, 7 is very early, but definitely 9, they're getting their periods. It's from, you know, hormone-infused foods will put too much hormones and accelerate maturation and early breast buds and things like that. And, you know, I think that it's because it's generational. Their parents didn't talk to them.
Right.
And you know, a lot of us, we live in this bubble of, like, you know, super healthy wellness, you know, but if you get on TikTok and you start talking to everyday people, you get a real sense of just, you know, there's stigma, there's, you know, embarrassment. I always say, like, if any men are listening to this, the thing that you can do if you have children that I think could make the biggest impact on girls' relationships with periods is to just plan with your wife, if you're married to a woman, and I mean, she's a menstruator, and when she has her period, she's going to start announcing it, not in a crabby way, you know, not like, and whatever, but it's like, you know, just moving a little slower. And dad might say, oh, you're moving a little slow today. Are you feeling okay? And she's going to say, you know, I just got my period and I'm just trying to move slowly and take care of my body with a little more gentleness while I'm menstruating. And then he's like, why don't you sit on the couch and I'm going to make you a good dinner tonight? Or, and even if dad, you know, in front of, you know, both children, male and female children, you know, it's like, hey, do you need any supplies? I could go up to the store and get you some tampons or pads or whatever she uses, you know, and when, instead of like sneaking, like what people do, you know, is like they sneak them in, they put them in their purse. So when everybody's unloading the groceries, not like box of tampons. I encourage people to do just the opposite. And like, hey, are these new tampons? Did you switch brands? Like, did you like just, you know, and for men, it's very uncomfortable because they also have not been. But think about the sons who hear that conversation. They are going to be different. And then when your daughter gets her period, all of you, not your, but like when periods come, then something really amazing happens, right? She's not ashamed. She's like, this is a normal part. And even people take care of you when you have your period. And evidently it's kind of a special time. And I think that could be very transformative for like most early menstruators.
I think that's really beautiful.
Using that as a jumping off point, I'm just so curious. Everything you know, everything that you have done and sorted through and your practice and all these years and all these things, what's your takeaway message when it comes to, you know, what are the things that we should be doing better? What are the little steps to take? What
as a woman.
As a woman, where you're at, what, from your position, what are the important things? Or if you
if you had to pick like 5.
like if you could change just a few things, what would they actually be?
So, okay, that's really a great question, because this is whether you're trying to get pregnant or not. This is for what I would consider optimal health. which is optimal fertility is optimal health. You know, they're very synonymous. And so the first one is not over exercising. So women who exercise to exhaustion 4 or more times per week, that would be like Orange Theory, CrossFit, something similar to that, are 70% less likely to get pregnant.
Oh, really?
Less likely to get pregnant. I think that Instagram is actually not doing a solid for women because, like, how hard you have to work out to sort of have an Instagrammable body, if that's what you desire, is not appropriate for most women. And the way to calibrate your exercise is to pay attention to your heart rate variability. I'm not talking heart rate. There's a different measure called heart rate variability, and it's how much variation between each beat there is. And usually we want tight control, except in heart rate variability, because that number represents how much resilience your body has to stress. And you want it like about above 100, ideally. It's not easy to get there, but I promise you, if you get your heart rate variability above 100, and you can track it with your Apple Watch, Whoop, any wearable, our ring can do it. Soon we're going to have this cool face scan technology that will do it for you, but that's months out probably. And so basically imagine that the three of us are on this podcast and like there's a loud explosion, either on your side or my side, but loud enough that we're like, oh my gosh. Immediately you go into flight or fight because you know you like, need to be able to fight or if there's an emergency, and your heart rate variability drops. It gets really controlled, like beat, 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 like get everything controlled. And then we just calm down. Yeah. So high variability means like something happens, you get freaked out, you go into flight or fight. You can quickly pull yourself back out and go back into, because you're either in flight or rest and relax. And it's in rest and relax where the healing happens. So I like an app called Welltory because it actually breaks down. It tells you what your heart rate variability is, and it says what % right now are you in flight or fight or rest and relax. So tying this back to the exercise things, when you're tired, and I interviewed 16,000 women last year, I asked them, the first question is, what's your energy on a 1 to 10 without caffeine or exercise for 2 whole days? It's the most important question around health. And because you have to take out the exercise and the caffeine though, only 8% were 8 out of 10. Which I would consider to be like normal, right? Healthy. 50% were 5 or below.
Wow.
So if your energy is a 5 or below without caffeine or exercise, and you exercise, the reason that you feel so good when you exercise is because the only place there's not enough energy to make you even not tired during the day. You go to do CrossFit and your body's like, she's going to keep going for an hour. Where are we going to get some energy? We'll go to the adrenal glands. And then you drain the adrenal glands, you get flooded with adrenaline, you feel fabulous. Then you get flooded with cortisol. Cortisol is made from the exact same stuff we make progesterone. So the higher the cortisol, the lower the progesterone. And so what happens is you get cortisol belly, you can't lose weight, you get blood sugar instability. You think you're doing something so positive when you're draining the adrenals, creating more inflammation with the adrenaline, the cortisol affecting progesterone. It's really a mess. And so you know, basically what I'm kind of working on doing right now is developing an exercise protocol for me too, because I'm a little over cortisol too, using some of these movements from, you can see them on Instagram or social media. Like you might see like an old Chinese person in a park, you know, and they're doing all this like, looks kind of like craziness, but those exercises are real sedating to the nervous system. And they actually open everything. And so I would switch to those kinds of exercises until your energy gets above 8 and your heart rate variability is kind of consistently above 80. Until then, just short, like a few short walks during the day, as opposed to even one long walk. What I do when I'm really stressed is I'll do like countertop push-ups between calls. So I'll just get up and go in my bathroom just on the countertop, you know, or I'll do squats on a different day, but like maybe 4 or 5 times during the day, I'll go into the bathroom and do 10 or 20 push-ups. I think the idea of like ultra fitness for women is really hard to do and preserve their reproductive health. So that's the first one. Second, pay attention to your energy without caffeine or exercise for 2 days, because what we just talked about, if you're exercising, you feel like you have more energy because you're getting adrenaline from it. That is not natural energy. Sleep at least 8 hours. The data is very clear that 7 is not enough, and that if you're trying to heal, if your energy is a 5, shoot for 9.
Right.
Sleep as much as you possibly can. It's so unfair. Like our society has really told us that if you're tired and you want to sleep, you're lazy. And so people like, oh, I don't nap. And when I know they think it's because they think it's lazy, because they're like, I'm not lazy, I don't nap. I'm like, but you need it. Your energy's at 2.
Yeah.
You're like, you need more than 10. You need about 15 to recover from this, right? And what's so interesting is as those people start to sleep more, the adrenals start to heal. And then the fire hydrant of adrenaline starts to slow down. And then they get more tired at first. And just know that like that's the real state that we're working with, that we need to build up. You asked for 5. Of course, food. Food is, you eat 4 to 6 times a day. Everything that you eat is either moving the needle in one direction or the other direction. And I just had bacon for breakfast. I don't think bacon's bad for you. It was really clean. But it's like, I always want to be clear because people are like, well, what do you eat? You must eat perfect. I'm like, hell no, I eat Whataburger and all kinds of bad things, diet soda, not all the time, right? But I do eat those things, but knowing that I'm going this way when I do it, at least that way you're not blindly just being like, it's fine, it's fine. But if you're really working on optimizing your health, your fertility, being really strategic about your food is really important. That's why we put a chef in the app, because so many people are like, I don't even know what to eat. I'm really busy and I'm really tired, right? In which case you're not in a situation where you're super creative and you want to meal prep all Sunday. You just want to lay on the couch and watch Netflix, which is what you should probably do until your energy comes up a little bit.
Right. So she's saying we get to have naps.
Yeah, that's
one more. The one more, which is my favorite, get rid of all fertility and period trackers and monitors. I know. That's a shocker. I think they're really bad for women.
I have 2 on my phone now, and they both say completely different things.
They say, well, they're just not useful. There's not been a single study that shows that only tracking changes any outcomes.
Right.
And the problem with the fertility monitors that I have is that they're just basically teaching women, catch ovulation anywhere you want, anywhere it is. I don't care if it's on cycle day 50, 70, we're going to catch it and you're going to have sex on that day.
Right.
What they need to be telling them is that if you don't have a 28 to 32 day cycle, if you have, longer than 30 days, 32 day cycle, you're 50 or more % less likely to get pregnant because you have an egg quality issue. Because the egg is perfect for fertilization cycle day 14 to 17, right. And then it starts to break down because it gets reabsorbed if you don't use it, right? And so you get to cycle day 30 and you're ovulating, that egg is not a good egg. And the reason that she's ovulating on cycle day 30 is a bigger problem because that's likely related to exhaustion, insulin resistance, some other hormonal that will cause problems for staying pregnant. Right. And so the other thing is they give you all this information like, oh, your PGD is 27.8. And then they take a screenshot of it and send it to me like, what does this mean? And what do I do? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's not important information for you. Knowing your PGD does not change your fertility outcome. We don't have any idea how to adjust it. It just causes stress. And because women who are trying to get pregnant, they're just looking for any wins, right? So they'll track a whole bunch of stuff, hoping that something's different, even if they don't even know what that means. Even if it's 100% clear, it will not get them closer. I don't care about pregnancies. I care about healthy deliveries, right? That would be the other thing is we need to stop focusing on getting pregnant. We need to start focusing on getting women healthy enough to stay pregnant.
How big of because it's a point that you're sticky on, obviously you feel like there's reason behind it. There's, that is your opinion, your belief for specific reasons. Could you dive in on that a little bit?
Well, that's my reason, right? Because I think it's real, having worked with tens of thousands of women, they're bringing me their monitors and they're like, oh my gosh, what does this even mean? What do I do with this? This is stressing me out. I'm spending half of the night on Google trying to figure it out. And because nobody wants to have a miscarriage, why would we not just say hey, even if they're saying you're ovulating on cycle day 15, even to just say, hey, but I want you to know it's not optimal. We need to figure out why ovulation is coming so late and help you to repair that. It's not hard. In 90 to 120 days, you can repair that typically. Then once we're going to help you to, and the other thing is that if you have a period that's 28 to 32 days, you are ovulating between cycle day 14 and 17. And we can confirm that retrospectively with basal body temperatures. The research does not suggest having sex on the day of ovulation. The research suggests having sex 3 days before ovulation, 1 day before ovulation, 1 day after ovulation, and 3 days after ovulation. And if you have a regularly occurring cycle, you can have sex on cycle day 11, 13, 15, and 17. You will spread sperm over 10 full days. It is not possible to miss the fertile window. And in many cases, you will have double deposits waiting at the egg at the moment of ovulation. To me, that makes a lot more sense. It's a lot less stressful. It saves people money, which I'm very interested in. How do we make, this journey for people more affordable, less stressful? And in fact, how do we make it a joyful experience? Like a joyful journey to motherhood versus like the worst flipping thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah, I think like most women that are trying to get pregnant have some kind of horror story. Like, yeah.
Well, a study, and you see, I like data, but a study came out that showed that like women who have been through infertility, I can't remember the amount, but a very high percentage have PTSD from it.
Oh, totally.
And you can get it, I always say like when you get cancer, they say it's as emotionally detrimental as a cancer diagnosis. But the difference is that if I went on Facebook today and said, oh man, y'all, I have lung cancer, everyone would come over and bring me food and flowers and help me. And if I went on Facebook and said, hey, I just got diagnosed with infertility, they'd be like, oh, bummer. Sorry, my heart's with you. Maybe you shouldn't exercise so much. Maybe you're too stressed. All this help. That's maybe if you lost weight or gained weight or whatever, it's a completely different experience that doesn't have the same support system yet. I'm going to build it though.
I have like a million questions, but I don't even know which one to ask first.
I'll try to not answer so long so I can give you guys more information.
No, it's good. It's perfect. Maria?
We've talked a lot about the work of being healthy to go into pregnancy. What are some of your key points once you are pregnant? The things that you like people to keep in mind?
So I think that, again, food, because now you're, growing a human, you're making a human. Blood building foods are really important. So it's actually through our blood that we nourish our babies. And so making sure, and we have to double our blood volume to support the placenta and all those things. So really making sure that you're using, lots of B vitamin foods with a lot of B vitamins in it and a lot of iron, and really controlling and stabilizing your blood sugar. So if you have a history of PCOS, talking to your doctor about maybe using like myo-inositol, or I don't like metformin in pregnancy. I prefer myo-inositol because metformin has some studies that have shown that it may injure the mitochondria. That's the energy maker in the cell. Whereas myo-inositol, which is cheaper, better results, more effective, and promotes mitochondrial behavior. But it can be really good for stabilizing blood sugar. And then with food also. So if people have a history of prediabetes, any kind of insulin resistance in early pregnancy, it can make a huge difference to have like a spoonful of protein every hour. So it could be just like if you have steak for dinner, cut it up into a bunch of pieces and just have 1 or 2 pieces, a spoonful of hummus, a spoonful of yogurt, a fourth of a cheese block, a handful of nuts. You could have a protein smoothie, all kinds of things that you can have. But stabilizing blood sugar really makes you feel better, a lot better. And having a decent amount of protein before you go to bed does make morning sickness less severe, because it really is related more to blood sugar than anything else. Really even like people have very severe nausea in the morning, I always tell them to keep a bowl of almonds like on their dresser, not in their bathroom. But invariably, once you're pregnant, you get up to go to the bathroom a few times. As you walk by, just grab a handful of almonds and eat your almonds, so you just keep that blood sugar stable the whole.
Now, transitioning to the next phase, just because I find this really interesting, thinking of the women that are then freshly postpartum, what's your advice? Think of these things pieces.
So it's complicated because what we should be doing and what happens just culturally and societally in most cultures isn't designed to support women postpartum, right? You just grew a human for 10 months, then you had to deliver that human, either a turkey out of your vagina or a surgery. then immediately, now this is just because that's nature, they give you the baby and you're like, back to work, lady. Now you're nursing. Then they're waking you up all night, right? And so if in an ideal situation, and not everybody has this, is getting as much help as you can. Parenting is not a two-person job, right? Especially of an infant. And so a lot of us females, in my experience, have a hard time asking for help. It's just hard. I mean, we just want to show that we can do it and whatever. And this is not the time to do this. If one of your friends says, I want to plan to have food delivered to your house after you're delivered, say yes. The only caveat is have them deliver every other day, and tell them that whoever organizes it, tell them to tell the people who are making your food for you to please use, disposable containers. I don't like plastic, but you don't want to deal with having to get all the things back to people, right? You just had a new baby. So disposable containers, and what do you guys like? What do you not like? And is it okay for them to bring you a bottle of wine? Is it okay to bring sweets? Like, literally give yourself whatever you want. Allow wine, you can drink it later. It'll just be like a treat for having a baby. And then you tell them, the person who organizes it tells them, we're going to if the cooler is on the patio when you come by, everybody's asleep. So, because you don't always want to take a visitor when you have a newborn. And it isn't your responsibility to show off your baby. It is perfectly okay to say, we need to rest. COVID is very active everywhere globally. I wouldn't want people in my house right now if I had a newborn to say, we're just kind of buckling down, and then send them a text. Thank you so much. Take a picture of it. And anyone who has had a baby before will appreciate that. Nobody's going to be like, so rude. I made her dinner and she wouldn't open the door. No, nobody's going to do that. Like, right on, sister. I'm glad you're sleeping. Right. And so, the other thing is like getting as much, pre-food. If your mother or your mother-in-law live near you and you're in your last few months, have them start packing your freezer. You will be so happy to not have to cook. And really accept as much help as you possibly can. And even if you have like money from, baby showers and things like that, budget some of that money for house cleaning just for the first month or two. It really helps just not to have to do anything except our nurse and sleep.
I love that. So two women in this room are pregnant at the moment. Not me, but Hope and Ray are both. They're knocked up. So this is great.
So Jared's going to be in charge of so much.
I'm going home to cook some freezer meals.
I do think it's something that's lost on this society that, where we are in 2025, I think we did a better job in, the olden days, if you want to air quote that, of taking care of moms and taking care of their needs and the community and help.
The Hutterites do it the best.
Yeah, they do.
The Hutterites, I think it's like 6 weeks or something. The mom moves into their space. Yep. The mom takes care of the grandbaby. The daughter just sleeps for like 2 weeks. She does nothing but nurse and sleep. And they just hang out. And
Is this a culture or a place? I didn't hear.
Oh, yes, the Hutterites.
Hutterites.
It's like a...
Think Amish, but a little different.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yes.
Amish with cars,
Yeah, big tractors.
Yeah.
Like Amish light.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
But you see that, like, I will be very, I'm going to build a lot into the postpartum because we see so much secondary infertility. Yeah. And I feel pretty confident that it's in the postpartum period that we're losing women. Like, they already got pregnant once, right? And then you get depleted growing humans, delivering humans, nursing. You got to feed that baby for however long you decide to nurse and stay up all night and go back to work and keep cleaning the house, right? And so I just think that, it's going to be fun, creative. Maybe you guys can help us think about, what are the strategies to simplify it, to get communities supporting women. There's all kinds of things that we can do, but I think it's really important. In China, you don't get to get out of bed really for a month. Yeah. I don't know in modern China. I haven't lived in Asia in 25 years, but before, like, you had a baby and you just rested. And the same thing, like, they brought the baby to you and, you could just hold the baby as much as you wanted, but you didn't have to. You could sleep. Your mother-in-law or someone in your family took care of you. And
I have a question. From your, in talking about nursing and breastfeeding and all those things, and then thinking about, like we do see a lot of secondary infertility and how that feeds into each other. If you were to put a magic number out there for keeping in mind benefits to baby, keeping in mind all of those things, but also eventually the cost of nursing on a mother, what would be your magic number of how long do you nurse before it's detrimental, or it can be to the mother, like where you start to lose some of that to her health?
It's really complicated because the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology is recommending up to 2 years, which I think is a mistake.
Interesting.
I think, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I don't even know if there's data to support because I don't care because I feel so strong about it. When babies have teeth, they don't need to nurse.
Yeah, I agree.
When they have two front teeth, they do, because first of all, that's hell on your nipples. But second of all, they're ready to eat food. And, it's interesting, in different cultures, like most cultures don't start like Western culture does with like sweet flavors. They start with things like broccoli and bitter so that they're not addicting, their babies to like the taste of sweet. And one thing that I thought about, and I didn't, I can't remember where I learned this or thought about, but around nursing is, when you're nursing your baby and your baby's upset, if you just give them your breast, they're so happy.
Yeah.
So it's this real positive feedback. Your baby's so happy. It's like chocolate cake, But I wonder if how important, I don't have, this is just theoretical. I wonder how important it is that we do a better job not doing that every single time, that actually redirecting children to make sure they're actually hungry. Because I wonder if, like, I was talking about this chocolate cake that I like, and I was like, yeah, I like this chocolate cake when I'm having a bad day. I like it when I'm having a medium day. It's really great when you're having a terrible day, right? But it is basically eating to feel better.
Right.
And I wonder, because I was very guilty of this. Like every time my kids have huge boobs, every time I'd be like, have some boobie, and they're like, it's so good. And I often wondered, I wonder if that sets up a pattern of like more emotional eating or anything like that. I don't know. Again, I haven't read any studies on it, but it's probably better if we, continue to nurse our babies, but also, it is a form of comfort, but not the sole comfort. How do we help them to like, just see, like, can we redirect them? Are they truly hungry? So they can start learning those signals too. Because sometimes when I'm really upset, I do think I'm hungry. Because I'm like, if I just eat something, I'll feel better. But I think it's like like I try to trick myself and saying like, I think my blood sugar's low. I need to eat something. It's probably really, I don't want to feel whatever feeling I'm having.
Yeah. I'm actually super upset, so I think I'll have a snack.
Exactly. Because it's like a pattern break and yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I think you're really onto something there. I definitely agree. I think most women do that. Like, oh, the baby's crying. Here, have a breast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just don't want any mothers who are listening to feel that that was critical in any ways, because I did that exact thing. Yeah. And if I had a newborn right now, I would probably still be doing it. Yeah. So even if we're just thinking about doing it sometimes, like, once a day, can I try to redirect? I think it's worth experimenting with. But I don't want anybody to feel like they're being like, oh my gosh, I feel like she was like really judgy about it. Not judgy at all, curious.
Yeah. I think that makes total sense to me.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on here, visiting with us, sharing your information. Where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, I guess we never discussed that. We never talked about like what your app is called and all those things.
Oh yeah. So it's very easy to remember. Conceivable. So it'll say in the App Store, or not quite in Android. We just have a little thing we're trying to fix there. But in Apple, you can just look up. It's Conceivable with Kai. Kai is Kirsten AI. And you can visit us at conceivable.com. If you're taking supplements, you're probably overpaying by about 50%. Please go take the quiz and you can get a pack. Basically, highest quality. You'll take a quiz. It'll personalize a pack for you, exactly what you need, because, again, there's no supplements for fertility. And then you'll get a box with 30 packs in it. So it's just one a day. You just take them, at least 50%. And we have a deal right now, 40% off your first purchase. So you can try them, because I know people have been like, holy crap, I've always taken like Amazon supplements, and now I'm taking yours, and like, this is the first time I can feel something. Right. So we decided to give a really good discount so people could try it and be like, whoa, I can tell a difference. So use the coupon SAVE40. You probably have to 2 weeks window if you want to try it.
Okay, cool. Very cool. I feel like we are going to have you on again, Kristen, we
Yay,
like
I would
to
love
keep
that.
our conversations for like an hour, and we're just about there. So, but yeah, we'd love to have you again
Yes.
and ask you a million more questions. But
Absolutely.
Well,
we won't keep you all day.
Yes. Well, thank you
Yes.
for joining us.
Thank you
We
so
are
much,
so glad
Kirsten.
to have you. And yeah, we're excited to have this come out.
Yeah, very, very
thank
excited.
you.